Alright, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Benjamin, and welcome back to our weekly updates of the presidential election model. I'm not going to go over the Senate one, but just a quick little interesting note is that Colorado, my model says is going to be competitive, but I think it's somewhat. I think Cory Gardner is benefiting too much from the incumbency bias or that I've built into the model. Incumbency added to the incumbent. I went through and trust me. So, for example, Virginia has a Democratic incumbent, and I added in the incumbency for Mark Warner. So, it's not just in that column when you look at my Senate model. Because it can be a little bit confusing if if we're going there, right? Anyway, so let's go ahead and talk about some interesting states. Colorado is actually fairly close in the presidential race according to my model. Delaware is interestingly close, and we'll see whether or not it's overweighing that one poll that's come out. But I don't think so. I've been saying for a little bit now that Delaware was going to be competitive this year, and or at the very least poll within 10%. Whether or not it be competitive, that's a different story altogether. My model suggests that it's a state that Trump and the Republicans should invest in, but they have much bigger priorities of investing that are absolutely necessary for victory in the Electoral College, such as Florida and Pennsylvania and Michigan and Wisconsin. And of course, they will have to play a small bit of defense in places like North Carolina and Georgia and Ohio and Iowa and Texas. Not as much in Texas, but a little bit. Arizona, and of course, the second congressional district of Nebraska. They're also going to have to commit some resources to Maine, New Hampshire, of course, Minnesota, Virginia. They definitely need to commit resources here in Old Dominion. Nevada, of course, Colorado. So Delaware is pretty low on the priority, but it is an interesting area to start considering adding into your electoral math, regardless of whether or not you think you can flip it. This cycle, it's going to be an important state going down the road, and it could be the deciding factor in close elections in the future. But we're obviously going to see about that. Obviously, Minnesota is probably the biggest electoral prize that Republicans can go after this year and in the future, because Minnesota is definitely much closer to becoming a red state than, say, than Delaware, obviously. Virginia is another electoral prize that they're definitely going to want to go for. Whether or not they can get it, that's a different story altogether. It depends on who the Democratic nominee is, and it depends on whether or not they can capitalize off of the gun laws that were being pushed for so vehemently. This and the ones that actually did get passed. That said, I am going to, after this video is done, have a celebratory glass of scotch in order to celebrate the tabling of House Bill 961, which was the assault weapons ban. It was tabled for next year, and I'm actually going to go ahead and pull up a quick little word that I wrote about it here. That way I can actually get my immediate reaction to hearing that news. Because somebody said it was dead, and I responded, it is not dead. As long as those who are hostile to freedom and the independence of the people, in addition to their individualism, tyranny will still live. It may be dormant, It may be hidden. It may be a phantom menace. But it will live until such a time as those vigilant and forthright in their defense and passion and love of liberty shall fall content in their success. And it's pretty much my thoughts. I'm extremely glad this bill is no longer on the docket. I'm a little disappointed that there weren't other bills that were eviscerated, but all things considered, this may be the best outcome we could have hoped for right now. I've tried to avoid making too much noise about the Democratic primaries outside of that one video I did about the Iowa caucuses. But it's now looking ever more likely that no Democratic candidate will get a majority of delegates, and that Sanders is going to wind up with a plurality. And I don't see this ending very well for the Democratic Party. First, they're going to have a brokered convention, if this actually does happen, which is not unlikely. It's, according to 538, the most likely scenario right now. So that's the first thing, is if it goes to a brokered convention, you may as well kiss the presidency goodbye if you're a Democrat, at least until 2024. If you get a brokered convention, there are a few things that I could see happening. First, whoever has the largest plurality of delegates gets the nomination, which would probably be the most equitable and probably fairest thing you could do from the perspective of Democratic and Republican thought, right? In terms of the principles of government, not necessarily the partisan names, right? The second scenario that happens is whoever gets the plurality of popular votes, the largest plurality of popular votes, gets a nomination, which would also be consistent with those two philosophies. And more than likely, it's going to wind up being the same person. I think Sanders is going to wind up with both the plurality of delegates and the plurality of votes. The third scenario is a brokered convention it's a brokered convention for all of these, but the third scenario I have is, say, Buttigieg being nominated with the moderates coalescing around him. And the reason for this is it'll keep most progressives happy, because Buttigieg is kind of in between the progressives and the moderates in terms of their where his platform sits. But he's also young, he's telegenic, and he says some intelligent things. There are, of course, a lot of progressives who will not be thrilled with him because of a lot of reasons, okay? Look at the stuff he's done as mayor of South Bend. You know, he's not perfect in their eyes. And to be fair, that is a fair assessment. The next section, the next scenario is Bloomberg gets nominated in this brokered convention. And there are two scenarios that play out in this case. The first is that Sanders refuses to endorse. I don't think he would endorse Bloomberg, especially if Sanders had the most delegates, the plurality of delegates and the most popular votes, plurality of popular votes. Because Sanders would rightfully assume that this is the party about who's the most popular, and of, we were complaining about the winner of the popular vote in 2016 not winning the presidency. Why are we all of a sudden giving the nomination of our party to someone who didn't win the popular vote or even the most delegates? So yeah, he would have reason to be a little suspicious of the results based off of the way the Democratic Party claims to be. And this is probably the most moderate outcome he could choose, is he could say, I'm not endorsing Bloomberg, but we have to beat Donald Trump. However, most of Sanders' supporters are extremely loyal, and they're not the type who would vote for another Democrat. In addition, there are quite a few of them, and I know quite a few of them. And again, anecdotal evidence is generally frowned upon, but anecdotal evidence helps you. It helps you conceptualize, humanize, and better understand your data points and your statistics. Anecdotes are necessary to form a proper view of the statistics, the polling, the data that you have. But there are Bernie voters in the primaries who, if Sanders isn't the nominee, are going to turn right around and vote for Donald Trump. And then the second outcome that happens in a Bloomberg nominated, there is a small chance that Sanders accepts the results and says, okay, I'll endorse you and I'll campaign on your behalf. But Sanders is way too principled to do that, I think. And he's way too committed to his own personal beliefs that I don't think he would do that. He's still an independent. He's not a Democrat. You know, he's running within the Democratic Party, but he's not a Democrat. So yeah. But the second outcome that I could see happening if Bloomberg wins the nomination is Sanders running third party, or there being a significant write-in campaign for Sanders. Because Sanders isn't the type of person who wants a billionaire to buy an election, which is what Bloomberg is trying to do. I mean, he's already proved he can buy state-level elections. Now we're going to see if he can buy the presidential election too. And Sanders already thinks that Trump bought the election in 2016, so, we'll see. But I think that if Bloomberg is the nominee, we're going to see Donald Trump winning by a bit larger of a margin than I think you would expect. Because I don't see Sanders voters turning out for Bloomberg. And I see a lot of extremely rural and extremely conservative state, Virginia, turning out in numbers approaching 95%. At least if turnout at their militia musters is anything to go off of, and turnout to each county sanctuary, Second Amendment sanctuary resolutions, their board of supervisors and city halls and all that stuff. If those meetings and the turnout there is any indication, the Democrats may have shot themselves in the foot in Virginia. That's how badly they've screwed up with this gun control push. And we're going to see whether or not that holds true, but I definitely, at least from what I am seeing on the ground here, and I admit I live out in the sticks, so grain of salt. My brother, he lives up in Nova, and he says he's seeing a lot of renewed activism for Second Amendment groups, and greater than he's ever seen it. And my grandma is saying similar things, and she lives in Tidewater, which generally refers to the Hampton Roads area, Williamsburg, Jamestown, Norfolk, Virginia Beach, that area. So I've got eyes and ears in all three sections of the state, and I've got eyes and ears in Roanoke. I've got eyes and ears in Richmond. And of course, I'm my own eyes and ears out here in the sticks, but from what I can tell, there is renewed enthusiasm. Maybe not for the Republican Party, but certainly enthusiasm against the Democratic Party. Or at least the Bloomberg hyper crazy gun control faction of the Democratic Party. Because there are a lot of moderate voters in Virginia, especially around D.C. and in the Tidewater area. There are a lot of moderate voters who have thought the Republican Party was going a bit too conservative for their tastes, and so started voting Democrat en masse. That's kind of changing because they've always been the type that respects the Second Amendment and thinks that gun control is a bridge too far. And obviously, from what I know, or from what I'm seeing, it's my suspicions have been confirmed. We've got Democratic council members who are trying to actually understand why people are so passionate about guns and the Second Amendment. There was one from, I believe it was a Prince William County member of their Board of Supervisors, actually went to the range and shot a gun for the first time in his life just so that he could meet gun owners and learn their perspective. That doesn't happen if he doesn't think that he's in danger of losing his seat the next year it's up. And that's in Prince William County, one of the 3 counties of Nova, along with all the independent cities up there like Manassas Park, Fairfax, Arlington, Alexandria. And of course, that probably extends into Loudoun County, Fairfax County, like I said, Prince William County. And you go down to Tidewater, you got Henrico County, you got a bunch of these other counties, all the Rappahannocks, the Tappahannocks, the Accomacs. Don't question Virginia names. And of course, every time I talk about Virginia counties, I promise I will mention Goochland County. Even though it's not politically interesting, it's very Republican, very conservative. It just has the best county name anywhere. So, give a like to this video, if for nothing else, if not Goochland County. I don't even live there, and I still think that's the best name. But anyway, if y'all enjoyed, remember, likes, comments, subscriptions, they sincerely help. We've had a tremendous amount of growth in terms of the historical patterns of this channel the past month. It's kind of slowed down in February, but I would sincerely hope that we grow as much as we can in the next time. And I promise I'll try and keep these a little bit shorter than I did today. But I want to talk about a few things. I want to talk about the primaries, all that jazz. Anyway, just for future reference, Wednesday I won't be uploading anything because I don't have anything to upload, and I'm going to be out of my home until about 10 o'clock at night. And I won't be able to upload anything this weekend. I'm going to try and start doing more often just because I'm going to be in Nova. I'm not going to get into why, but I'm going to be in Nova. So anyway, I want to thank all y'all for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time. Take it easy. Have a nice day.